I actually do notice a little bit more mid-range in this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A little more?
That sounds more like my rig.
Hey guys, Marangella here from Vertex Effects. Today I'm here to talk to you about one of the most important pieces of your rig, which is often overlooked or underestimated by a lot of guitar players. I'm talking about nothing other than the instrument cables that you use on your pedal board. Today we're going to talk about the value of using certain types of instrument cables to help shape your sound and where it's most appropriate to spend the money if you're going to put out big bucks for a cable, where to put it in your chain as opposed to using something that's maybe more modest, maybe more of a budget or sort of mid-grade oriented cable. We're going to talk about all that. I'm going to bring in my friend Justin Derrico from NBC's The Voice and Pink to have him demo some of these cables so we can actually hear them in real time in the appropriate positions so that we can really hear what they're doing, how they respond to different types of amplifiers, different types of gain, and really see what makes the difference between a $150 cable and maybe a $25 cable. So let's get into it. Cable Shootout today, figuring out where it really works and understanding sort of the inner workings of instrument cables and where you might want to spend your money and where you might want to trim some of the budget and allocate it to different things on your rig. My name is Marangella. I build rigs for the industry's top professionals. Now I'm teaching guitarists how to build rigs like the pros with DIY tips, easy mods, and all the tricks of the trade. I am the Rig Doctor. So in today's shootout, we're going to be using a couple of different cables. We're going to be using a Mogami 2524. This is a classic cable that a lot of people have been using. Many rig builders use these to go into the pedal board or out of the pedal board to the amplifiers. This is a very good sort of middle of the road, not too expensive, not too cheap cable that is extremely reliable, sounds great. We're going to be shooting this one out today. Second cable today, a lot of people don't know about these. This is Gotham. Gotham cables are actually really excellent. A lot of people don't know about them. It's kind of more of a boutique vibe. A lot more people in Europe are aware of this type of cable, but we're going to shoot it out today. It's also similarly priced to the Mogami, but really sounds great, has a little bit of a different EQ, so we're also going to see how this compares to the bunch. Next, we're going with a classic George L. We're going to see how this compares. This is something that guys like Eric Johnson have used for years, not only as their instrument cables going in and out of the pedal board, which is really what we're evaluating today, but he also uses it throughout the pedal board. So I've made a version of this that I've soldered so that we could test it sort of comprehensively with everything else. So we're going to see how this sounds today as well. Next, the most expensive of the bunch, the Evidence Lyric HG. This is a great cable, has a very hi-fi quality to it. We're going to get to hear how this sounds compared to all the other cables. Great cable that I had our friends at Vestronics make me, so we're going to see how this one sounds in comparison. Last cable is one of my favorites. This is the Belden 9778. This is something that a lot of old school rig builders used to use, but still sounds amazing. So we're going to see how this stacks up all in. We're going to try it high gain, clean, and just really see what stands out, what's really consistent, what doesn't get too peaky when you throw a lot of signal into it. These are all considerations we want to make. Now, one thing to know with guitar cables is most people actually test them and evaluate them incorrectly. When you're talking about guitar cables on a pedal board, if you're using any sort of signal conditioning, even a buffer that I might not approve of, you are going to be able to nullify a lot of the effects of having a budget cable on your pedal board as opposed to a really high-grade cable on the pedal board. So for most people, I don't recommend that they use really expensive cables as all the interconnections on the pedal board. That means sort of the wiring in between all the pedals. I think something like a Mogami 2319, which is under $1 a foot, is a great choice. It's easy to work with. It's very bendable and maneuverable, whereas all the instrument cables that we're going to be working with today, they wouldn't be ideal for a pedal board. The diameter is too thick. They're a little bit cumbersome to be using on something where you're really getting into all the nooks and crannies. You have to make really hard angled turns with the cables. Not a good idea to use this. But the place where I do think that if you are going to invest big money on cables, it definitely should be that very first cable, that one that's going from the guitar into the pedal board. And if you do want to spend a little extra money, also the one that goes from the pedal board back to the amplifier. Although presumably if you're using a good high quality input and output buffer system like I recommend, that output cable you can have a little wiggle room in terms of the quality that you're working with, because you'll have that nice high quality, low impedance, stable line driving ability from the output buffer to bring that cable back to your amplifier. So really the place, if you're gonna spend the money, get the cable that goes from your guitar to the pedal board, because that one is not receiving any signal conditioning unless you have either some sort of active preamp in the guitar with active pickups and things like that. Typically, if you have that, you won't need to invest as much in terms of the input cable, but for all passive guitars, whether it's just a regular old vintage Strat or a Les Paul or 335 or Telecaster or fill in the blank passive pickups, you're going to need to use the biggest part of your budget on cables to really invest in that very first cable. Now, the thing to consider is that first cable that you're plugging into, it's actually sort of EQing and filtering everything before it even goes into the pedal board. So before you get the option to even condition the line using an input buffer, this cable is totally exposed. So the impact of that cable is going to have the most effect of any cable on the pedal board. So you really want to choose the one that seems to exaggerate the EQ that you most respond to. Some people might like more mids, some people might like it a little more scooped out, some people might want something that's a little mellower with high gain, or some people might want something that's a little bit brighter with the cleans. It's a trade-off. All of them are going to exaggerate things differently. And the main thing you need to understand about cables, the key word that we talk about in terms of specifications on cables is typically the word capacitance. And you can kind of derive from that word the word capacitor. So these are basically like capacitors or filters for the entire tone, and we're choosing our cables based on how we want to filter that tone and what we want to exaggerate before we go into the pedal board and receive any signal conditioning there, either by way of a buffer or by way of pedals that are turned on or buffered pedals on the board that are then going to condition the line in some ways to greater or lesser degrees. Now, the thing you want to really focus on when you're choosing your cables, which most people don't when they're in the store, is they're evaluating the cables independently of the rest of the rig. And what we're going to do today with Justin Derrico is we're going to actually see how the cables respond in the context of his rig. Because if you're not doing that, you're actually not seeing how the cable is going to impact the overall sound. It might sound great when you're in the guitar store and you're going guitar cable into the amplifier, but that's typically not how a lot of us are using it if we're building rigs in the first place. We're going through 10 or 12 pedals or more, and then we're going through another long cable to take it all the way back to our amplifier. We're not testing it in context. So the idea is when you're testing your guitar cables, the ones that you're actually going to use that affect the tone the most from the guitar to the pedal board in context, the way that it should be done, so you're making sure that you're getting exactly what you think you're getting once you get back home and you plug it into your rig. So let's head over to Justin Derrico's place. We're going to head to his studio and we're going to see what we hear. We're going to talk to Justin and see what he hears. Certainly an expert in tone and a guy that relies heavily on not only having really reliable cables, but also cables that sound great. There he is.
What's up, dude?
Thanks for having us.
Welcome.
We're keeping it safe. Thanks for...
Here's my socially distanced hug.
Yeah. Thanks for allowing us to do this today.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Let's shoot it out.
Let's do it.
And which amp is the clean one? Is it the Showman? It doesn't matter. I just want to know so I say on the video what amps we're using.
Friedman.
Friedman, okay.
Yeah.
So Friedman and the Dirty is also Friedman, or is it to do?
No, the Dirty's the Marshall.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But my Friedman, it's got a little bit more headroom.
Yeah.
I had Dave do like a little mod to it, so like the clean channel's more like a Fender.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was kind of the whole thing, you know. Like here's the clean, right? Here's the Dirty. You expect me not to hear a difference?
I expect you to be brutally honest.
Oh, we'll be brutally honest, yeah.
All right, so tell us what we got here on Pro Tools so we understand what we're looking at.
Okay, here, I'll color them. I'll put this one, I'll make this one red. So we're going to listen to the Les Paul and the neck pickup through the Friedman with a little bit of Flint reverb.
Clean channel though, right?
Clean channel, yep. And my Friedman is, it's the clean channel has a little bit more headroom. And it's like a little bit more Fender-y. That was the idea behind it. So this is the Gotham cable, and this is the Les Paul neck pickup. Yeah. Sounds nice. Sounds like a guitar. All right, and here is the George L. soldered cable. To me, it's like this. It's the slightest bit more top end. It's just a little thinner sounding, a little brighter sounding.
All right, so
that's the thing that kind of poked out like the most to me.
Okay, between those two, what about next? We have Mogami.
Mogami. It's definitely got a little bit more signal to it, and it's a little bit fuller in the spectrum. I feel like it like, you know.
So far out of the three we've listened to, Mogami's your favorite.
But I think, yeah, probably so, because it's just a little fuller, just like in terms of all the frequencies that I'm hearing.
All right, well let's add evidence into the mix and see if your mind has changed. Again, this is still all in the Les Paul. We haven't even gone to the Strats yet. Those little details do make a huge difference in the end result, and it's something like, you know, I feel like you really only notice when you're shooting them out and you're A-Bing them, but yeah, the Mogami sounds really good, man. I'm actually really happy with that. All right, let's see. We got one more to throw in the mix. We got the Belden.
All right, Belden, baby. The two, for me, my two favorites would be the Mogami and the Belden. Those are certainly those are definitely my two favorites.
But maybe one of them will reign supreme
on the Strat.
On the Strat, and then we haven't even gotten to the dirty side yet. So this is, let's go to Strat, same part.
Okay, Strat, and let's hear it on the Strat. Okay, so we got that.
That's Strat.
Let's go to the George L.
George L.
I don't like it.
You don't like the Giorgio. All right. All right, so far the Gotham is the winner for the Strat Clean. Let's go and add in the Mogami.
Alright, so there's that, and then here is the evidence. It sounds good, actually.
Yeah.
I do like that. So let me hear
Belden.
Belden. I like the Belden better for the Strat. Actually,
Yeah.
It's a little bit. There's a little bit more clarity to it.
Yeah, I think the low end seems to stay a little more bell-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So winner there is Belden.
The winner there is Belden.
So far between the two, we've done Les Paul and Strat. If you had to say one cable so far that's the winner that you could use across any instrument, what would it be?
I would say the Belden.
Belden
actually.
9778.
Yeah, because the fact that it sounds great with the Les Paul, and it sounds great with the Strat. So for me, I'm always switching. If you know me, I'm always switching guitars. I mean, I know everybody I'm always known for playing Les Pauls and stuff, but
you have
I have a shit ton of guitars that I fucking love. All right, and they're all special individually. Even though Pink says they all sound the same, she's mostly right, but no, I'm just kidding. No, but I like variety, especially when I'm doing the voice, I have to play a lot of different stuff, a lot of different stuff. So
right, all right. So we've done that. So now let's get into dirty though, because that was just for clean. So far our winner is Belden. Through the clean stuff, we're now getting into dirty. We're gonna do the same test.
Les Paul dirty, and this is the Gotham.
All right, Gotham.
Sounds good.
Yep, sounds good.
So
now we're going to Giorgio.
Giorgio. I don't like the Giorgio. It's just too bright for me. All right. Yeah, the Mogami's killer, man. It's got a big fat thing to it.
All right, a Belden. Or no, sorry. This is evidence. Okay. Still seems pretty similar to my ear to the Mogami. There's a lot of similarities in there.
There's some similarities. I think the Mogami's just got a little bit. It's a little warmer, but it's so ever so slight though. I mean, it's a really small difference. It's still the evidence still sounds good.
So let's see Belden in the mix.
Belden, baby. It's awesome. It magnifies all my slop, but it's great. I think for sure. Let's go to the Strat and shoot them out. But I think so far, the Belden's kind of going to be the winner across the board, just because thus far it sounds great. Both instruments, clean and dirty.
Yeah, and that's an important thing because some stuff just doesn't sound the same clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's consistent.
Yeah, it's very consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So there's that. Let's go to the Georgelle.
Okay.
It actually sounds good on that one.
Yeah,
sure.
it sounds good.
I'm not noticing like the
I think it does a good job with the low end on that one of the Strat.
Yeah.
I think it kind of sounds snappy and punchy.
Yeah. I don't hate it as much. Not that I hated it.
I think it actually sounded better than the Gotham there. The Gotham seemed to struggle a little bit with the low end tightness.
Yeah. Alright, we know that Mogami's rocking. So let's
hear some evidence.
Yeah, the Georgelle actually sounds really good on this one.
Yeah.
It sounds better than the evidence on that one.
I don't know. I mean, are we saying Belden's the winner here?
Oh, Belden's clearly, yeah. I'd say as far as like consistency and sounding good, it sounds good for all of them.
Yeah.
Right? All four sounds, or you know what I mean? So, you know, the Mogami was really cool. I'd say Mogami's probably 2, and then the other 3 are just somewhere kind of all over the place.
Well, the crazy thing is the Belden is about $1 a foot, so it's not like a high budget cable at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Belden is kind of, in my eyes, it's the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Justin, for entertaining us and
Thank you, man.
and humoring me on this cable shootout.
We win!
So that was my cable shootout with Justin Derrico, comparing 5 different types of guitar cables to see which one of them impacted the tone most greatly and which one you might want to consider for your own rig. Even though our findings were unanimous between the two of us that the Belden 9778 was the best, you might hear some of these and feel like either the Mogami was better, the Georgelle was better, the Gotham or the Evidence. All good choices in my opinion, just seem to excel each at a different thing, but the Belden to us was definitely the one that seemed to cover the most ground across the spectrum of clean and dirty tones with kind of the core guitars with the Strat and the Les Paul for the humbucking sound, and the Strat of course for the single coil sound. Now if you're interested in any of these cables, I'm going to link them all down in the description so you can check those out for yourself if you want to check them out. I haven't had very good luck being able to find pre-made cables with the Belden 9778 because it is sort of more of a bulk broadcast coaxial cable, and I don't see it available very often, but you can definitely buy it in 1,000-foot spools for about $700 or so. And I'm thinking I might just invest in some of those because they sound so great. I could even use them for the next 5 years and still know that I'd be pretty happy with the result, even if some new stuff came out that I might also like at the same time. So definitely worth a shot to check those out, and maybe you'll find some pre-made ones on eBay or on Reverb that you can pick up for a steal. So definitely recommend checking those out. If you like what you saw today, I highly recommend that you subscribe and you ring the bell icon so you stay most up to date with what we're coming out with on the channel. Make sure you leave us a thumbs up and a comment. That helps optimize our channel. And if you'd like to support this channel further, we offer a Patreon page where we have 3 different levels of membership that range from $5 to $50 a month, and you get varying degrees of support and tech tips from me. There's even options for one-on-one calls or FaceTimes or Zooms where you can get individual coaching one-on-one. And even at the $5 amount, you get certain deals and discounts on Vertex products, early access to new releases, and some other cool benefits for being a member. And if you can't afford that for any reason, I know that times are unusual with COVID-19, we're offering free accounts for anybody that can't afford one at this time. Just send us an email and we will give you access to our $5 level at Patreon page. So go ahead and do that if you are interested, and right now you're not able to afford that, and we trust that when times change for you, you'll let us know and become a supporting member at that time. We also have a podcast available on all the podcatchers, whether it's iTunes or Spotify, so do check out the Rig Doctor podcast there. And until next time, I'm Mason Marangella, the Rig Doctor. See you later.